So, we are going into how to get rid of old ideas that you're stuck in because of social norms. So you can tell these because it's anything you're in resistance to. So, I recently got into metal detecting. Because we live in Hawaii, so there's a lot of beaches. And to me, that was one of those things where part of my meditations that I've been using have been to go against my internal resistances. So obviously everyone has a desire to fit in, and that basically controls the status quo of everyone. Because no one knows where fitting in is, but everyone's pretty sure it's in a pretty small box. So everyone kind of stays in there. So the metal detecting for me has been something, and this is an example of what you can do. Whereas I had all these ideas of needing to look a certain way, which I had moved a lot of the energy before I got to metal detecting, but it did help clear up the rest. And so because of that, I would go out and metal detect, and people look at you and think that you're a fool for metal detecting, or almost like a big nerd, a dweeb is more of the energy. But it's perfect, right? Because it's something I like to do. I like to find treasure. So for me, I was like, okay, well, either I can have this idea that I need to fit in with all these people who are essentially just laying on the beach, or I can get over the fact that I need to be accepted and head off in a direction that's going to allow me a really high level of excitement. So, as the example, what I'm trying to say is, if you can't find out what your limitations are on yourself by sitting down and intellectually figuring it out, or by going into meditation, you'll be able to tell by what you're embarrassed about, or what you're in resistance to, or what you would not want other people to see you doing. Each of those things is something that is defining who you are and a limitation on yourself. Because the whole point is, within these limitations, we can't always create, and we are always creating, but we're always creating within these limitations, and they're very much human limitations. And as an INTJ, you have almost a responsibility to your fellow man to take the massive amount of information that you have and figure out a way to become more free and allow your spirit to shine more. And in doing that, it's very much about learning how to be happy, unconditionally happy, in any situation, because you're choosing to, because that's who you're choosing to be, and not because you feel that way or you're reacting that way. So in order to do that, you have to find what your reactions are. You have to go neutralize your reactions, and from there, you don't desire a specific outcome because you're not in resistance to any of the outcomes. So you can be rich, poor, blind, naked, single. You can do anything. You can be a garbage man. So this is a key to everything, because this is where happiness lies, not in the ability to manipulate energy, manipulate people, which is the INTJ path. In a sense, it's the ability to find unlimited acceptance all around you, all the time. And it's a long path, or it was initially when I started it. The vibration of the planet is a lot higher now, so the path can flow a lot quicker. And this is super exciting. This allows for all sorts of things to happen, because the social norms that we've been following have been causing us to only experience situations that are within the human spectrum. So once you start removing these limitations and you just start acting in ways that you desire to create, you understand your ability to create, you no longer have to do that. You can start doing things that people would consider supernatural. You can go anywhere. You can travel the universe if you want. You can interact with all sorts of beings, alive, dead, they're everywhere. But it all is about getting past these definitions of fear and embracing the fear and changing whatever the fearful definition is. So, a big way to do this, something I've recently done, which has helped me a lot, is to I moved down into my heart. So I've been up in my brain for a very long time, analyzing the world, using this as my processor in here. You can think of it as two different operating systems. This one is very judgmental. There's a lot of critical analysis. You're always questioning things from different angles, switching in different perspectives, to try to find pieces. As an INTJ, you'll always keep looking until you find a piece that validates whatever your definition of anything is. So arguments, you always win, because you can always find the reason why you believe something and prove it to someone. And they're like, oh, well, that does seem like a legitimate reason to believe that. So the heart space, if you are interested in that, is you can shift your awareness into your heart chakra. And down here you have another room. And your heart has a brain inside it. There's actual brain cells. You have nervous cells and synaptic channels, the same as you do up in this brain. But it's not nearly as heavy. So what you can do is you can focus your attention right here. And when you do that, you realize your analyzer stops, your judgments stop, your critical analysis stops, and you essentially just sit there in a state of acceptance. So on this path, where you start to become neutral to things and you start to learn acceptance, this is such a huge tool, and it's something I didn't figure out till way later. But if you can pull it off, it's so awesome. Because when you get really lit up, like when you go into a resistance intentionally to change it, you can get really, really lit up to the point where you're just not able to. So this heart space transition allows you to go straight into your heart. And from there, you're very neutral. And you're very capable. Nothing is overwhelming because you're not at the top of the tower, you know, the mad scientist lab on top of the castle spire. Instead, you're down in like a warm, safe spot. And just try it out. Just try it out when you're watching this. Just see yourself down in there. Take your perception as if your eyeballs were right here looking out of a window. And you'll realize that your perception is always up here. But if you do this, you'll realize right when you go down there, there's like more of a relaxed feeling, a slouching feeling. People respond to you very differently too, because you're coming from your heart space. And women definitely can respond to that. A lot more in pain. But if you just come out of the heart space from a neutral perspective, you'll see everyone responds to you differently. Because you don't have any judgment of them. And you're not judging yourself. Which is the sweetest thing there ever was. Because then people can be who they need to be without worrying about you. And you can be who you want to be without worrying about them. And so it's just one of those techniques. So this is all about trying to get past the trap of the INTJ. Thinking you know everything because you figured out the patterns. It's about figuring out that the patterns you figured out were your patterns. And in order to change those patterns, you have to go find what you're in resistance to and get out of resistance to it. And you'll find there's more and more resistance, but if you keep going, it leads to a place where you can be totally neutral. Don't have to be stuck in your analyzer all day, which is so relaxing. Since I've been out of my analyzer, I've been sleeping a ton because my whole body, my whole system is just like, okay, we can take a vacation now. That was years and years and years of non-stop data processing on such an intense level. And you just become sort of, it's not apathetic, because it's not that you don't care in the sense of detachment. It's you don't care because you don't desire a specific outcome, because you're not in resistance to anything. So anything, just take a look at anything that you desire, anything that you want or don't want, and those things will lead you to what you're in resistance to. And if you follow that and you remove the resistance, at the end of that path is awesome unconditional love and acceptance for everything around you, which opens up a gateway to a whole new way to use all of your INTJ skills and mix them in with all of the other skills that you've learned in all of your other personality types. So I hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them below. I'd love to answer them.